unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Jermall Charlo talks Canelo payday. You want payday. I know that. Versus Caleb Plant. He doesn't quite give a prediction, but he has some interesting thoughts. Breaking down the fight, says he definitely would like the winner. Stay tuned to this video. Yo, what up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys come in and listen. I don't know how you found the video, but somehow, some way you found the video. Throw a like on the video. Goes a long way when you guys do that. It's free, it's quick, it's painless, and it does help the channel. Now, we're going to get ready to listen to Jermall Charlo. He did an interview with Premier Boxing Champions on their official podcast. Make sure you guys check that out in its entirety. They talked to Derek James. They talked to Jermall Charlo, with, of course, the regular PBC host. He did talk a slew of different things, and I'll probably make separate videos about some of the other things he said. Jermall Charlo, just to give you guys the cliff notes, Jermall Charlo, he did express his thoughts on what's next. He says right now, and I'm just paraphrasing, but you guys, if you want to hear verbatim, you can go to the link in the description and listen to it like I did, so you can quote Jermall Charlo. I'm just going to give you my rendition and paraphrase. But Jermall Charlo basically said he doesn't know what the next move is per se, but he wants a mega deal. So basically he's looking for the big fights. He's at the place in his career. He's looking for those impactful, meaningful, big paycheck and legacy defining type of fights that the fans crave. One of those fights, he said something about Andrade is talking. And then he did mention Triple G. He says Gennady Golovkin has good handlers, so he's not really worried about the politics. He's supposed to fight Murata, but he said maybe we can fight each other and unify for all the belts. Let's get it. I'm down. And he was asked about the upcoming fight this weekend, Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez. You guys see the picture. This was the scuffle. Yesterday they had a press conference. It was a lot more tame than the first press conference, and that's probably because it's just fight week. You know, when it's fight week, the fighters are just ready to go. The hard work has been done in the gym, the hard part of preparation, the rigorous training, the road work, the dieting, the nutrition, the getting proper rest and sleep. All that is already done. You know, the sparring, of course. And now Canelo and Caleb Plant, they both seem very surreal, very calm. I think this will be an excellent fight, and it's a tough fight to pick. I can make a case for both fighters. You don't necessarily know how either fighter is going to fare, but now let's take a listen to Jermall Charlo give his assessment, and then I'll be back. Roll the clip.
Oh, we've got a big fight, obviously, Saturday night, Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant. Give us your thoughts on what's going to go down on Saturday night.
I mean, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be an interesting fight. We all know Canelo, he struggles with a little bit of movement off the jab and things like that of that nature. I mean, so we'll see how he do with this fight. I mean, we don't know. He's looking to try to knock out Plant. Plant uses his head movement and his lateral movement pretty good. I don't call it running, but I do think he'll be on the bike a lot more and let Canelo stalk him down. Hopefully he don't get caught with a shot that he don't see. You know, let the best man win.
Is the key for Plant just not getting caught with that shot you just described?
I mean, we don't know. We don't know how Canelo's gonna adjust to the jab and the movement. Like I said, he struggles with fighters like, you know, Mayweather sort of style. And Plant shows a little bit of Mayweather style where he boxes and moves and is a little bit flashy, hands down. He's not an upright fighter. I mean, he boxes off his back foot and he uses his head pretty good. So we don't know right now what kind of Canelo we'll see.
So do you, I mean, we talked about this earlier, but do you have your fingers crossed maybe that you'll get the winner of this fight?
I mean, yeah. Whoever the winner, hopefully we can make a mega deal. Like I said, I'm looking for a mega deal. I'm looking to, extend my legacy. And if one of those guys give me the chance, then I'm definitely taking it.
If one of those guys give me a chance, then I'm definitely taking it. So he says Triple G in a unification with all the belts. When the Murata outcome is decided, he will fight Triple G. He did briefly talk about Andrade, and now he's saying Canelo Plant, the winner. If they gave him an opportunity, he said that's a legacy defining fight. He definitely going to embrace that with open arms. So I love this attitude from Jermall Charlo. I gotta talk about the fight breakdown. It's funny. This is the thing: is you go online and the internet, and there's a bunch of weirdos breaking down the fights and stuff like that. But I noticed a lot of what Jermall Charlo said. He's an undefeated champion, great jab, great defense. A lot of people sleep on Jermall Charlo's defense. People, they know he's aggressive and they know he got power, he got pop, he got a jab. But a lot of people sleep on his just core fundamentals and also his defense. I seen some very slippery, slick moves and athletic moves that Jermall Charlo has made. I mean, I was live in Houston when he fought Brandon Adams, who's already a crafty, savvy type of fighter, very tricky, kind of stealthy, and he was mixing it up. And Jermall Charlo was fighting off the ropes, good defense on the ropes, etc. You've seen it with Sergey Derevyanchenko, who's also that kind of grinder and real cagey. You seen he gave Triple G all the problems in the world because Derevyanchenko likes to move and he likes to develop momentum. And the thing I noticed with the fight with Jermall Charlo is Charlo, with basic fundamentals in boxing and power and aggression and a great strategy with him and his trainer, Ronnie Shields, they had Sergey Derevyanchenko at bay. Like, he didn't want to do nothing. He didn't want no smoke. He knew that it was too dangerous every time he came in. That's why his eye was all swollen shut. So I don't think people give Jermall his full propers. I think Jermall deserves a lot of credit for what he does in there. Now, regarding the fight with Canelo and Caleb Plant winner, I would love to see it. I think it's a great fight that would, of course, entail him moving up to 168, at least for that fight, because Canelo just told you, he says 168, he feels good, he feels strong. His team has said in multiple interviews that he can't make 160, or he's not going to even try to make 160 unless it's Errol Spence. He said he would fight him at a catch weight. So basically, Canelo's not coming back to 160. On fight week, Canelo Alvarez also said that he feels great and he feels strong at this weight. And he said he still has to cut weight, but he said he was losing strength because he was cutting too much weight. And now that he's in the higher weight classes, he said he feels good and he feels in place. So Jermall Charlo, it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of opportunities. We just have to see. We have to close this year off. Triple G's fighting in December. This weekend, November, you have Canelo and Caleb Plant. So Demetrius Andrade, his fight's coming up. So a lot of we're closing the year real strong, and there's a lot of back-to-back fights. And I think the outcomes of those will determine some new looks for what and who Jermall Charlo should fight. Jermall Charlo, he's been in a tough position because I think he's called out for the biggest names, but it doesn't look like a lot of people were really trying to see him. That's just my personal opinion on what I've seen. Jermall Charlo, he stays flashy. He has an undefeated record. He's a twin, so that's already really sellable in America. America loves twins. He's always in shape. He got skills. So I can't wait. I want to see what's next. But I got to talk too about what Jermall said, referring to the Canelo fight. It's ironic that this is where I was headed earlier. And then I started talking about some other aspects of it. But it's funny, you got all these weirdos on the internet, and the internet folk, they'll say a lot of the Canelo radical fans, Canelo's a great fighter, but a lot of the radical fans, they don't even give realistic fight breakdowns. You notice Jermall Charlo, he didn't really even pick a winner. He gave both fighters credit. He said Canelo's a beast. You know, his brother has given props and said Canelo's a dope fighter, but he did mention exactly what I've told you, the great ego Stradamus strikes again. He says Canelo has the kryptonite or the difficulty with solid movers, guys who can box that Mayweather-esque style. And that's exactly what I told you. And he says Caleb Plant has that Mayweather-ish style. He says, I don't like to call it running, which is another thing that I've also said. You know, people say they confuse movement with running. There's a difference between running like in fear and using lateral movement and controlling the real estate and ring generalship. Two different things. I've seen fights where guys are running because they felt someone's power and they're afraid to engage. That's running. But using the ring and the real estate to box and stick and move, like Jermall Charlo was saying, Caleb is very good at, you know, this could create problems for Canelo. He said Caleb Plant can fight off the back foot. He's pretty fluid in there, good upper body head movement, and he can fight off the jab. So I think it's going to be a great fight. This is big boxing, and I'm glad Canelo's back on pay-per-view because I think he belongs on Showtime. He belongs in these pay-per-view situations. Hopefully we get to see Jermall Charlo in one of these pay-per-view situations with the winner, or at least Triple G or Murata winner or Andrade, or, you know, whatever happens. So I think Jermall Charlo, I don't know if he's going to have a fight in between now and then, but it sounds like Jermall Charlo, he's going to be paying attention to what's going on in the scene. And hopefully, he said he's looking for the big mega events. His last fight, super tough dude, Montiel. A lot of people slept on that, and they try to hate. There ain't nothing to hate on. Montiel was just tough. People keep bringing up how he got stopped by Jaime Munguia. That don't mean nothing in boxing, because if you actually listen in the buildup, Samson Lukowitz, his trainer, told you the Jaime Munguia fight. He said Jaime Munguia, that fight came about, and his fighter, Montiel, had 2 weeks to prepare for the fight. For Charlo, he didn't have no dang 2 weeks to prepare. They did a whole Showtime All Access episode where they were documenting the training camp. So I know he had longer than 2 weeks, and he was just exceptionally tough. So that's the thing that's confusing. You can't just be you could do whatever you want, but there's a lot of surface area boxing fans, and they just go to BoxRec or Wikipedia, and they think they know something. And they're like, oh, Jaime Munguia beat this guy. Bro, did it look like the same version of him that Jaime Munguia? Guys improve. Guys get better. Guys get nutritionists. Like, you know, guys make more money. Imagine you being judged for something you did. Like, when I first started Photoshop or doing video editing or even YouTube, I mean, imagine if someone pull up all my videos from 8 years ago. They're clearly not going to have the same quality, the same mic presence, and the same, you know, microphone. I've upgraded. So people got to be realistic when it comes to this boxing stuff. Montiel was just tough. But anyway, rant over. Hopefully Jermall Charlo gets a big fight. That'll be great. I think he's the charismatic personality that boxing needs. And there's just so many big ways you can mix and match these guys, period. You can have Charlo versus Caleb Plant or Canelo, and I think that's huge. That's big business. He has a big fan base, and you put him in with a name like Canelo or whoever wins Plant, you put it in Texas, that's an easy sell. You put it in Vegas, is really anywhere is an easy sell, but there's certain markets that it'll go crazy. Let me know what you guys think. That's what Jermall Charlo had to say. Check out his full interview in the podcast. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe to the channel. You dig. And I'm out. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.